Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for our capstone thesis defense day. So we welcome you. We're so glad you're here. This is truly the culminating event for these students. As you may or may not know, they have been being educated classically, and that's kind of foreign language to a lot of us today, even those of us who are trying to achieve it. But actually, this was the common way that people were educated throughout the centuries, and even in America. Our forefathers, founding fathers, were all educated classically. It wasn't until the turn of the century, the early 1900s, that shift in the way children were educated here in America happened. And so when I say classical education, some people think about classical music, or some people think about reading dusty, dry books or something like that, or we don't know what to think of it sometimes, but really a classical education just embodies the natural way that people learn. And we can see, while the Greeks kind of codified the system and gave it a name, the trivium, and described the parts of it, we can see that this was how everyone in the ancient times was educated. We can see this among the Hebrews, and it comes out as well in the scriptures. And so we start any subject by learning the grammar, those beginning foundational pieces, the vocabulary, the parts of it. And even as adults, when we come to a new subject, we go through these same three stages. And so if I wanted to learn about making soap, for example, or gardening, or riding a motorcycle, we still start with the grammar and the beginning foundational pieces. Eventually then, as we learn more about the subject, or as our students grow, they start wrestling with the dialectic. And the dialectic is about questioning and discussion. So the grammar is the who, what, where kinds of questions. And dialectic is more the why and how things relate. Did this event cause what followed it, or are they simply corollary, right? Wrestling with those big ideas. And it's interesting that as our children grow and they naturally come to this stage, often around the junior high stage, they start asking us questions more and kind of pushing, against authority. And so the classical educator says, well, let's go in the vein of how they're developing. Let's teach them formal logic skills. Let's teach them how to debate kindly and with grace for each other, and to be able to think about big ideas and wrestle with them. And then we come to the rhetoric stage, which is, it's the wisdom stage. We understand it, we can then teach someone else the same thing, we can produce beautiful works of art, a great speech, right? And so we've been practicing the skills all along to lead up to this point where the students can write a 12 to 20 page paper on a topic that they're interested in. They can do the research that requires. They can wrestle through the ideas and form their own opinions about it, and then today stand before others and defend what they think and what they believe. And so this is something many people don't ever do in their whole entire lives, and here these high schoolers are doing it, and I'm so proud of them. I've enjoyed so much my time with them in our discussions in our classes. I tell you what, these students have learned to talk about some of the most difficult topics that we tend to avoid: politics, religion, history, cause and effect, and they can do it with grace and most of the time compassion and understanding each other's positions. So I love all the time that I've been able to spend with them, how they're maturing and growing. And so this is a chance for them to showcase, that the exposition, the research, their thinking. And I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for each of you, how you have invested in their lives, what you mean to these students, for taking time to read their papers and to be a part of their lives. It really is important to us. As we've been talking together, especially this year, we've been talking a lot about, consequences of, choices lead to consequences. And being able to see those and perceive those ahead of time defines great leadership. And so we've been talking about what it means to be a leader. We've been reading the ancient classics this semester, talking about what is a hero, what are qualities we want to emulate, what are ones that we need to avoid. And it's been great to hear them wrestle through these ideas and then weave their faith into it and see, the whole reason that we're here is to honor and glorify God. And the gifts and the skills and the tools that they're being given, they know is about reflecting Him and honoring Him. And it's so much fun to hear that in our conversations. So I have a couple of verses that I want to read, both before you all as we get started, but especially for the students, as I know that they're excited but also nervous and many mixed feelings as they're coming to the end of this stage in their life and about to embark on the next. So I was reading in Psalms this morning in Psalm 16, and verse 1 says, "Preserve me, O God, for in you I take refuge. I say to the Lord, you are my Lord. I have no good apart from you. For all the saints in the land, they're the excellent ones in whom I delight." And then down a little further, "I've set the Lord always before me. Because he is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Therefore my whole heart is glad, my whole being rejoices, and my flesh also dwells secure. So in your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand there are pleasures forevermore." So one of the great joys of being able to homeschool and having that freedom, and yes, we're following this classical path, but also we are striving to provide a Christian education for our children. What good is it if they can argue with the best and get all the accolades and accomplishments in the Lord, but their heart is far from Him? And none of us would be happy and satisfied with that kind of an education. And so we have had the joy of weaving those conversations into our philosophy, into our theology, into our math conversations, and into our literature. And so they have much to share with us and much to learn from us as well. And I know that as they keep setting their eyes on the Lord, they will not be shaken. He will not abandon them. He's always at their right hand. And we continue to look to Him and know that in His presence is fullness of joy. So with that, we are coming to our first presentation, which will be James. And so